Welcome to MBA Mental Boost. This is your coach, Dr. Rosie, and today we're diving into breaking the cycle of self-sabotage. Now, first of all, this is my first episode of 2025, so I also want to wish you a happy new year and hope that you had a great Christmas. Right, let's dive into it. What if I told you that your biggest competition isn't the player across the court, it's you? Now, the thing is, you probably already know this. You've probably heard multiple times that, it's you versus you. Your biggest competition is you. Run your own race. Now, they sometimes get shared so much that it just becomes noise. So today we're actually going to dive into it. Like, how do you get in your own way? Why do you get in your own way? And most importantly, what can you actually do about it so that these don't just become posts that get shared on Instagram and quotes that sound great, but actually you know what to do and how to get out of your own way. So in this episode, we're going to be breaking down self-sabotage, why it happens, and then how you can stop it from blocking your next level performance. Let's backtrack. What actually is self-sabotage? So self-sabotage is any thought or behavior that stops you from achieving your goals. It's not laziness, it's actually your mind trying to protect you. And I think when you understand this, it's going to help so much because the brain's number one job is survival. Like, all it wants for you is to keep you protected. Now, the thing is, we've got lots of beliefs that have been ingrained in us over time that at one point probably did serve us and probably did serve to protect us. But now those thoughts, beliefs, actions aren't moving us forward. They're getting in our way. So what we have to do is we have to consciously become aware of where we might be getting in our own way, where these sabotages might stem from, and then bringing awareness and action so that we can show our brain like we're good. It's okay for us to step out of our comfort zone. It's okay for us to face the unknown or to face challenges. There's no saber-toothed tiger there. We're not about to get killed. And that literally is what we have to remind our brain. When we think about the brain's primary function as survival, then we can start bringing more awareness to how we can actually work with our brain and kind of take care of it so that it takes care of us. Now, thinking through some common sabotages, I'm sure that you will relate to one or multiple of these. Looking at my list that I've written down, yep, I have done every single one of these. Procrastination, overwhelming yourself. So, taking on more things than you can actually invest time in and making yourself overwhelmed. That leads to not saying no. Or not taking action, not saying yes to the opportunities that you know will move you forward. Comparing yourself to other people. Needing things to be perfect. Or expecting that things have to be perfect. By the way, have to, should, that's also a form of sabotage. Needing external validation. Telling yourself that you have to prove yourself. By the way, that's going to be another episode coming up very soon because that's been a hot topic with clients at the moment. Overcomplicating things. My mantra about it gets to be simple. We overcomplicate things, we get in our own way. Not taking responsibility. Blaming other people, blaming circumstances, situations, not actually focusing on we're responsible for our life because we're 100% responsible for how we react. So they're just some. There are multiple ones I could have added to that list, but they're ones that I thought you'd relate to as well. So why does self-sabotage happen? Essentially, it's driven by fear. So fear of two things, either fear of failure or fear of success. So that might sound strange, but there may be a way that you're getting in your own way because you have a fear of what will happen when you become successful. How will other people treat you? Will they judge you? And often it revolves this kind of fear of failure or fear of success. It revolves around reaffirming the belief that you're not good enough. And again, when we can kind of bring that to the forefront, it's like, oh, okay, I can see where it's coming from. Then I can do something about it. And I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. But when we have this fear of failure or fear of success, then our nervous system kicks in, and there are 4 different responses. I've only just discovered that there's a 4th response, but you have fight. So confronting things, maybe kind of aggressively, but like there's no strategy, like it's kind of chaotic. Flight. So that can come up when maybe we're avoiding challenges or responsibilities. Freeze, which is where we feel stuck and maybe we take no action. And then the 4th one, which I came across, is called fawn. So that's people pleasing. So that's where we please others to avoid confrontation. So it's, the opposite of the fight. And I'm sure, again, you can relate to all of these or one of these. That's where the nervous system then kicks in as a result of our brain telling us that kind of inner critic, the wanting to keep us safe, keep us small. But we know that growth doesn't happen from that. And so we have to consciously override this belief that's been programmed into us. It's kind of hardwired when you think about it like that. It's hardwired. So what we're doing when we work on our minds, literally rewiring your brain by rewiring your thinking patterns. But you're the only one that can change that. So how to identify self-sabotage? As I said, self-sabotage is based on like strategies that will have served you at some point. So seeing self-sabotage as it actually is coming from wanting the highest good for you, but it's just that the behaviors don't serve you anymore. So these patterns have become deeply rooted over time. Now, when we make self-sabotage conscious, that's when we can do something about it. This is really important. It's not necessarily about getting rid of the sabotage. We often see these as, it's a bad thing. But how about we see self-sabotage as neutral? It's neither good nor bad. It depends on what you do with it. So when we can make this conscious about, where do I get in my own way? What are the things that I'm saying to myself? Where do I limit myself? We make that conscious, then we can take back control. So we might not get rid of it completely, and that's fine. But the self-sabotage or these thoughts or patterns where we get in our own way might pop up, but then we bring awareness to it and we're like, oh, it's funny that my brain does that. Oh yeah, there's that old familiar pattern back. And then you choose to interrupt and to do something different. It doesn't have to be difficult. I think that's really important to bring awareness to. So some questions to ask when you're kind of bringing self-awareness to your sabotages. What patterns keep showing up in your life? There might be things that you say to people, I've always done this. I'm the person who, this has always happened to me. I don't know why, but it's always been this way. I notice that a lot with clients. Number 2, what situations make you procrastinate, avoid, freeze, people please? And number 3, where do you feel these kind of sensations in your body when you think about these situations? So just bringing awareness to it. It could be things like if you avoid taking a shot in like a clutch moment, afterwards just reflecting, like what came up for me? What was I afraid of? Was it failure? Was it judgment? Was it success? And like I said, that last one might feel a bit strange, but that is a very real sabotage. And I'm going to share with you next some actionable steps to overcoming, and I'm hesitating on the word overcoming because we can also see it as working with self-sabotage. First of all, spotting the pattern. So keeping a journal is great for this. You could keep a journal for like a week and write down any self-sabotaging thoughts or actions that come up for you. For example, maybe like you procrastinate on extra practice or on learning a new skill because you fear that you're not good enough, or that people will see you making mistakes, making errors as you're learning and growing. Then you could look at reframing that belief. Maybe you replace "what if I fail" with "I'm always learning." Shift from "I'm not enough" to "I'm always improving." So after you reframe, you want to interrupt the pattern. So think about one small action to disrupt that loop. So for example, maybe you procrastinate on learning a new skill. Or maybe you procrastinate on extra practice. So just start with 10 minutes. Very small, very simple. I was going to say very demure. That damn reel gets stuck in my head. Very mindful. Anyway, I digress. Come back. This then shows your brain that I can do this. You know, when you think about the brain wants to protect you, keep you small, help you to survive so you don't get eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. If you do just 10 minutes of extra practice and something that's hard, like gonna step you out of your comfort zone, then now your brain sees, okay, we didn't die. I can do that again. And then you know what? You do that each time and that compounds. Next, leverage your nervous system. Work with it. So use deep breathing or grounding exercises to calm that fight, flight, or freeze response. So for example, in high pressure moments, maybe just taking 3 deep breaths to center yourself before reacting. And by the way, that might not just be in like a game situation. That might be, let's say one of your sabotages is comparing yourself to other people. You might see a post on, I don't know, Instagram, and for some reason it's triggered a response in you, a response that doesn't serve you. You compare yourself to that person and that journey that they're on. Your mind thinks, I'm not good enough. Just take 3 deep breaths. And then you just regulate everything. And then you can carry on with your day. Carry on with your scrolling or whatever it is. But just that thought doesn't have a hold over you. Deep breaths and release. Next is about creating accountability. So you might want to share your goals with like a teammate, friend, family member who can call you out when they see that self-sabotaging behavior creeping in. Now, depending on what state you're in, them calling you out might trigger a response in you as well. So being aware of that and remembering that you've asked them to keep you accountable. And lastly, visualizing your success, like closing your eyes and imagine yourself doing that action that, you know, maybe you've been avoiding. Let's choose procrastination. Maybe doing the thing you've been avoiding and see yourself doing it flawlessly, confidently, feeling powerful. You're reminding your brain that we can do this. We can step out of our comfort zone. I'm good. I don't need you to protect me. Like we're safe. And why does this matter for your game? So every time you beat self-sabotage or you work with it so it doesn't get in your way, you unlock more and more of your potential. And this isn't just about basketball. I mean, you know, everything I talk about is not about basketball specific. It's about building confidence in yourself as an athlete and as a person. This is going to carry you long after your career in basketball. Now, I want you to remember self-sabotage is a challenge, but is one that you can overcome, is one that you can work with so that it doesn't get in your way by becoming intentional about being conscious of it, bringing that awareness, and the action that you take as a result. That last thing is the only thing that matters. So it's cheesy what I'm about to say. But remember that the biggest battle is the one within. If you win that, you'll win everything else. I hope you found this episode useful. I really loved making this one for you. It was a big subject to dive into. If you've got any questions, always feel free to drop me a message on Instagram. And I hope whatever you're up to today, you have a good one. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of MBA Mental Boost, the secret weapon to supercharging your performance on the court. If you found today's episode useful, don't forget to subscribe and share. You can connect with me over on any social platform. You can find me at Dr Rosie Mead. Until next time, go out there and dominate using the power of your mind. This is Dr Rosie, signing off.